Guess who's back? It's Kamish, back here with Week 9 game previews. The season's just flying by here. So many games with so much importance. Very exciting time of the year, and I'm getting really excited just to preview these games. So let's start off with the stinker of the week. It's Danny and Billsy Bob Tim Horton versus myself. Danny 3-5, myself 2-6. Still awaiting word. This video was made just before the deadline for Brandon on what his strategy is going to be, but that South Division has been a joke this year. Lots of players on the bye for me. Obviously, that's going to be the situation for probably a lot of teams, but for me, especially having so many Bears and Browns players. Still lots of uncertainty who's going to be that bottom team if Brandon decides not to leave. Could be me, could be Sasha, could still be US1. A couple others could sprinkle in there. If I could somehow pull a shocker here on Billsy Bob, he could be in it. But Billsy Bob got some good news when Jay Ajayi was traded to Philly. Damian Williams is obviously probably going to at least split the snaps with Kenyon Drake, giving him a running back that's going to give him some points. So originally when I did the prediction time video, I had myself winning. Hopefully I can win, but we'll see what happens. Next up, we got George and Pack Attack 3-5 taking on our undefeated team. Chris and True North 8-0. This guy looks unbeatable. Chris is still the class of the LOC as long as he stays undefeated. He will have to turn to Drew Stanton in this one, though, as his quarterback to try to stay undefeated. So Drew Stanton, not the kind of guy I would want to suit up to stay undefeated. We do know, I know that Chris released Jimmy G a while back there, so I'm sure he wishes he had Jimmy G right now, considering he's got Big Ben, AB, and Brandon Cooks on the bye this week. That's going to make it tough because Pack Attack's bringing his full lineup in this one for the most part. In my prediction time video, this is one of the ones where I thought True North had a chance to lose. I got Pack Attack winning, and we'll see if Pack Attack can bring down the Giant here and give him his first loss. That's going to be a beauty. Next up, we got Glenn and Saving Matt's Ryan sitting at 5-3. Just on the cusp of not making the playoffs. First, John and My Ball Zacher's 4-4, a team that obviously needs a must-win here to stay in the playoffs. It's huge playoff implications for sure. Loser's got to be, you got to think the loser might be done, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, a good time around Week 9 to have the deadline. I mean, this is the last game before the trade deadline, so it kind of determines what these two teams might try to do. Looking at it, My Ball, he's pretty crippled by the bye in this one, so that's going to hurt him. To me, Saving Ryan should cruise here. Kind of surprising that he's 5-3, but he is still just the 10th seed. When I did the prediction time video, I had Saving Ryan to win. I see him winning this one again. He's had the good schedule, and that's obviously helped him. So good job for Saving Ryan. Next up, we got Monsters 1-7 versus Brian in the 12th man 5-3. It's Brian's time to get the easy win versus Monsters. Obviously, no Phillip Rivers here, no quarterback. Shouldn't matter. What a time to have the quarterback on a bye to play Monsters. Works out perfect for Brian. Shouldn't really need a quarterback. I'm actually surprised he's trying to trade for one. The one thing about Brian, and obviously I kind of touched on this before, do not let this guy congratulate you early by the looks of things, because you'll lose in the end. In this one, obviously, I'm not going to say too much because it's a Guevin game. Obviously, in the prediction time video, I had 12th man to win. He should cruise in this one. Next up, pretty huge game here. Luca, Too Good for a Name, sitting at 5-3, taking on Susan Fighting Geese at 6-2. Two powerhouses right now. Geese, obviously, last week survived a huge scare from US1. Too Good for a Name, 2 straight losses, 1 more, and it'll be 3, which would be a losing streak. And when you lose Zach Miller and the guy's leg almost gets amputated and he's your only tight end getting points, it's only going to get tougher here for Luke and Too Good for a Name. Not to mention, looking at this matchup, Brady and Bell on the bye, your 2 powerhouse players. To me, this one could be the makings of a blowout. I see Fighting Geese obviously winning this one, predicted them to win. Luke, obviously representing the South, is probably our champion this year, maybe. but the South has been a joke, and yeah, definitely see Suzeman in this one. Next up, we got Kristen and Storm sitting at 3 and 5, taking on Joshua and Sasha Heineken sitting at 1 and 7. Sasha finally got a win, obviously, last week. Finally moving past Monsters. I mean, finally, Monsters doesn't even have an owner, so obviously probably feels pretty good for him. That should probably secure the number 1 pick for Monsters and whoever the new owner is taking over for that team. Huge game for both, though, in this one. Storm not quite out of the water yet. A win here, though, obviously would eliminate any chance of them being the one that falls down. Sasha wins, though. I like his chances to stay. He's got me week 10, which obviously is going to be a huge one. But he will have pretty much the easy win versus Monsters, as he still has Monsters to play. That should be a guaranteed win. So that week 10 and even this game right now is of vital importance. In the prediction time video, I did have Storm to win, so we'll see what happens in this one. Next up, Steven in US1 sitting at 2 and 6, taking on Brandon and Wolves 3 and 5. Obviously, tough loss for Steven there last week. He's not out of the woods yet. Obviously, Sasha Heineken breathing down his neck right now for that last spot. The good news for Wolves, obviously, Kenyon Drake, obviously going to split those carries with the Jai gone. This one definitely has all the makings of a dogfight, really. In reality, Brandon and Wolves with a win here might have a chance at the division. If Luke loses, Brandon has to be looking at that. My prediction time video, I had Wolves to win. And Wolves should really heavily consider coming back next year because he's a decent owner. Next matchup, we got Sean and Drink AJ OJ sitting at 5 and 3, taking on Ryan and Mr. Longyard sitting at 3 and 5. After such a great start for Longyard, 3 straight wins, he's now at 5 straight losses, and obviously a shell of his former self. Sean stuck into that last playoff spot last week with a big win. Taking out the 6, obviously, knocking him down. But the question I have for Sean is, who is going to start a quarterback for you in this one? Should be interesting. Obviously, you had Keenum and Kaiser on the bye. I noticed he picked up Brock Osweiler. Maybe he will be the starter for Denver, but still not the kind of guy you need to start in a big game at this time late in the year, especially since looking at your lineup, you're pretty crippled by the bye at the worst time in the season. And originally in the prediction time video, I did have Longyard to win. And looking at your buy situation, I'm going to stick with Longyard to win. I think you might be in pretty big trouble in that one. Next up, we have another one that could have been the game of the week, really. We got Lucas and Green Lightning sitting at 5 and 3, taking on Robert and Templars 5 and 3. You saw Sean's 5 and 3. Obviously a huge one for Templars here. For Lucas, life without Zeke begins, and obviously at the worst time of the year. I'm looking at it, 6 games would bring it right into the fantasy playoffs for Lucas. For Lucas, it's a huge game to just hopefully try to stay in the playoffs. A loss here, you saw the other teams sitting at 5 and 3. You got Saving Ryan and Dix or 6 knocking on the door. For Robert, obviously huge division implications. The easiest way to the playoffs for him is winning the division. Obviously 3 straight, 2 on the line. I'm sure he would love to win this one. Lucas, Carson Wentz is this guy looking like he might be the next great white hope at quarterback. The next Brady could very well be. Obviously Philly, the loss of Peters at left tackle, they replaced that with Jay Ajayi. So we'll see if that's a successful formula for them. In the prediction time video, I had Templars to win, and I'm going to stick with Templars. I see that Lucas doesn't have that 3rd running back dressed, and that's the reason why I'm going to go with Templars. Next up, the game of the week. It's Milan and the 6 sitting at 5 and 3, taking on Ryan and Deuce Bombers 6 and 2. Basically, looking at it, both teams kind of in trouble with the bye. Deuce has Gronk, Tyrell Williams on the bye. For the 6, Amendola, Rudolph, and Hogan on the bye. So, for the 6, he's got to avoid the epic collapse, so to speak. He started the season 5 and 1. 2 straight losses here against tougher opponents. He's got another tough one in Deuce Bombers. Has shown really a true measure of where the 6 has been at. He did beat a lot of easy teams there in the beginning. The competition obviously got a hell of a lot tougher. And then for the Deuce Bombers, if he wins this one, is he still considered the favorite? I mean, remember the commission predicted him to go undefeated all season long. Obviously, that ended in the first week, but Deuce still has obviously a lot of talent. But obviously, David Johnson now, it sounds like they're shutting him down for the year. Makes sense. That's what happens late in the year with these shitty teams like Arizona. Guy gets hurt, they just shut him down for the year. So I did pick Deuce Bombers to win this one, and I'm still going to stick with that. So obviously, guys, lots of playoff implications, lots of good games here. Week 9's getting pretty exciting. We're getting near the end. It's going to be a great finish, and I hope you guys have a great week.